Welcome to Pod Terror, also known as Cinema 9 Podcast. I'm Michael Govier's Travis, and it's Eric, and we're doing Cinema 9. It's a show about films and movies, and it's all three of us. This is the first time we've had all three of us since when, Travis?
2 months, 2.5 months. It's
2 weeks.
Which has been like, what, 3 episodes at the rate we've been going? It's been a bumpy ride of late.
2 weeks.
I don't think 2 weeks. It's been longer than 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Anyways, we're here. We're excited. And we got, Travis, you want to enlighten people about how stuck with the film that you chose last week, but there was some discussion last night of a late change.
Almost, but not since The Good Girl have we butted up against this problem where we picked a movie and then the movie is not actually available for anyone to watch unless you go through other means. And
I fucked on To Live and Die in L.A. It fucked me.
Oh,
best boy.
That's right. That happened there too. But we actually did the episode of Good Girl, I guess, like we're doing this episode, I guess is where I was going with that. Which it's always a bummer when that happens. When I came up with the idea to do this show last episode, I looked on my phone on the Roku app, and there, sure enough, it was like available for rental on Amazon for $2.99. And then you go to rent it, and it's some fucking shit action movie that came out from 20 years before or something like that.
Oh,
Search and Destroy. It turns out that there's 7 movies with that title, but only one with John Turturro in a wig. So that's the one we're here to talk about.
Let's compare Rotten Tomato scores at the end of the show.
Yeah. I won't reveal what Travis had switched to. We'll keep that a secret.
That'll come up eventually.
We'll keep it under wraps. You want to get behind the scenes with us? Just send us a text. We're happy to talk about stuff. Anyway,
we have a Discord, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Technically, we do. We have Dave Horning as a member. Thanks, Dave, for being our sole member of the Discord. We also have an email, cinema9pod@gmail.com. You can send us an email, just like this guy, Joe Lowry, who sent us an email. Hi,
hey,
Cinema 9 crew. Hey, Joe. I started listening to the Cinema 9 pod a couple months ago and have started jumping around previous episodes for movies I've seen before. True Romance, episode 1. Gosh.
Wow.
I wonder what that thing sounds like.
We were such tiny babes.
I know.
Podcast babes.
In diapers.
Who knows what
diapers.
the format was? Diapers.
I was using my phone to record on. I do know that, so it sounded like shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I gave my thoughts via smoke signals.
Pod Terror? Was there Pod Terror on episode 1? There had to have been.
Always.
I'm sure. Caught my eyes, and I was excited to hear it, as it was a top 10 movie for me in my 20s, but I haven't watched it in at least a decade. Anyways, as you guys were discussing Tarantino-written movies but directed by others, From Dusk Till Dawn was brought up. Mike's comment was basically that he went to the theater to see it and how disappointed he was. I immediately thought about how that was my exact same experience. I was burned the year before by going and watching 4 Rooms in the theater. And the only reason I went to see From Dusk Till Dawn was Robert Rodriguez. At that time, I was a fan because I loved watching El Mariachi in high school Spanish classes. Really, high school Spanish classes. Good for you.
That's a cool Spanish teacher.
Would you show El Mariachi in your classes, Travis?
No, I don't teach Spanish though.
No, but just forget that. I don't think there's any context where it would be acceptable anyways. It's kind of
I showed to my 3rd graders a couple of weeks ago. They hated it.
I feel like if I show The Revenant, I could show pretty much anything to my students.
Oh, okay, fair point. 2 in a row bad Tarantino flicks in a row was almost too much. But fortunately, he's had more hits than misses since then. How many bad films from directors, writers that you previously enjoyed will you endure before you give up on future films? Or will you always let each film stand on its own merit? And are there directors or writers that you previously enjoyed who you've given up on? Thanks, Joe Lowry. Thanks, Joe.
This is ringing a huge bell for me. This is no contest here for me. Robert Zemeckis, it's over. It's over. We're talking about one of the titans, the all-time titans, Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Contact, Forrest Gump, hit after hit after hit after hit. And I was looking around on IMDb a couple weeks ago. Disaster after disaster after disaster after disaster. His last 8 films have been fucking unacceptable.
I think I can raise you one. I got 3 words for you. Francis Ford Coppola. Have you seen any of the shit he's done the past 15 years? I'd rather watch paint dry. It's
No,
unwatchable.
I haven't. But
It's
it's always like, oh yeah, he can do what he wants to. I mean, it's
well, exactly. So you think like, oh, this is one of the masters of the craft. Surely he won't phone it the fuck in. No.
yeah, it's been a while. I think I love the Rainmaker. And
Yeah, that was great. But that was 1997, friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
been a
that was
while.
26
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. We got Megalopolis finally coming out. This could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
I'm gonna watch it for despite. I mean, I wouldn't watch it if it wasn't like the one that he pushed for. But I'm also like thinking it's gonna be a shit show.
Oh,
I'm not
God,
seeing
yeah.
it in theaters.
Huge
You know?
waste of money. I guarantee it.
Oh,
Colossal waste of his fortune.
man. Well, Joe had a quick follow-up to his own email. I forgot to mention, since I threw out the question and didn't opine on it, for the directors, writers that I previously enjoyed that I've given up on for myself, it's probably an unpopular opinion, and I haven't checked out any episodes yet you may have done on his films. Oh, actually, there might be some agreement on this one. Not for me, but this is Wes Anderson for me.
Yeah.
Dude, I've had access to Asteroid City for like a month, and I've just like because it's on Peacock, and I'm just like I keep on being like, I'm still burned by Friends Dispatch.
Dude, do you think you would have done that like 10 years ago?
I can't imagine
it-
doing that.
Opening night appointment viewing, but after French
Yeah.
Dispatch, it's over. I don't give a fuck. And he's got one on
No.
Netflix next month, live action.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I love French Dispatch. These guys don't like it, but I really enjoyed French
Horrible.
Dispatch. And for me, he's still appointment viewing. Although life is so busy, who knows? You can't give appointment viewing for anything because society's got issues. But and Joe says, I loved Rushmore when I first saw it, but I haven't revisited it. And after each subsequent movie, I got more and more uninterested in watching any of his films, regardless of the buzz surrounding them. I'm guessing that if I go back and watch Rushmore, I'd probably feel like it doesn't hold up for me. I don't know if that's true at all, but I mean, that's a classic, I think. Yeah, it's a great film. But I still love Wes Anderson. I don't like his cartoony movies, but I love his live actions. And I think Moonrise Kingdom and Grand Budapest was 9 years ago. It was an incredible film. Still got
film.
it. He's
Wonderful
still got it. He still got it. All right, let's get a core team viewing picks then. Travis, give
Yeah.
it to us.
I watched a few films. Speaking of films on Peacock that are disappointing, and Robert Rodriguez, who is also pretty disappointing. I checked out Hypnotic, the new Ben Affleck film, and I'll give it that it starts off cliched as fuck, and it actually gets more complicated as it goes on. And I'm kind of like, okay, but I rated it like a 6 on IMDb, and apparently I was generous, so I cannot recommend it. And one of the main things I was thinking as I watched the film is like, man, Ben, you're a big star, but you cannot stumble like this too many times at this point in your career. Like that, it's just with Batman.
He's
and
on fire. Live by Night. That was it.
He's no one lasts, no one's on top forever, and I'm not going to give up on the man by any stretch. But then I bored myself with Run Rabbit Run. We talked about what's her name from I don't watch it, the show that's not Billions that you like, Mike. Succession. Yeah.
Yes.
She was also in Predestination. Sarah Snook. So that's why that's why I watched it. She's in a horror film, but it was really fucking slow. I couldn't pay attention. On a bit of a Paul Schrader kick, apparently, I checked out 1979's Hardcore. This is a movie that has been on my radar since 8mm came out, and people compared it to that. I think it's on Tubi right now. And I was just kind of going through Tubi and like, what do we got here? And it was super late at night. I texted my buddy Dan. I'm watching Hardcore. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like a Saturday night. You just throw on Hardcore. I'm like, yeah, that's what I did. George C. Scott is outstanding, as always. Paul Schrader, it's fun to watch him at that point of his career because he's, I don't think it's like the first thing he directed, but it's still very early as he's finding his footing. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It was very much felt like cinephile homework in some ways. You know what I mean? But it's definitely worth catching.
Do you see Blue Collar yet, Travis?
Oh yeah, Mike turned me onto that, or Luke did, or both. Loved it.
Sounds like Luke.
I think Luke
it
turned
was
Mike
me.
onto it.
Oh
yeah.
no.
Okay.
No.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Standing firm.
I want to
firm
make
on
clear.
this.
I saw Blue Collar in my Michigan African Americans in film class when I went
That's
to
right.
the University of Michigan, and it was focused on Detroit, and I loved it. Yeah,
And you're a big Yaphet Kotto fan, also. We haven't talked about him in a while.
maybe not as big as Luke, though. I'll give Luke credit on that one.
Check out the Pope's Exorcist from this year.
I heard good things. I'm sorry.
Way too much CGI. Another fucking possession movie where there's like the black wrinkles under their eyes. It's just like, oh god. If this had not been such a CGI fest, I would have really liked it. And I liked it enough that there's already a sequel in the works, and I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Who am I kidding? It was worth checking out. Wasn't fantastic, but it was worth checking out.
Pope's Exorcist.
But actually two more here. I checked out Pavements, the documentary Slow Century from 2002. It's been on YouTube. It's so weird that it took me so long to finally watch this fucking documentary, but it also didn't really floor me. I mean, I don't know. Wow. It felt mid-career, even though it was like at the end of their career, but then they came back. But you definitely got a lot of background about Gary Young as a drummer and how Bob Nastanovich joined. You got some stuff that I already knew, but it's fun to hear it from the horses' mouths. But lastly, the big takeaway for me, the blow everything else out of the water movie this week for me. I talked about last week how I'd never seen the Chadwick Boseman film 42. I finally watched 42, and holy shit, Chadwick Boseman and Harrison Ford are just so top of their game in this movie. I really loved it. Fantastic.
Look at Yeah. This was good Ford, man.
The Jackie Robinson story, 2013. It's fucking awesome.
Holding it in.
Harrison Ford. This is solid Ford. This was like, if this was a bigger movie, I could have seen him getting the nod. I could have seen him.
Come on, this is going too far.
It's pretty good, dude. It's not. He's not just playing straight up. Hey, I'm Harrison Ford again.
No.
He's not. He's playing Branch Rickey, a very famous person who gave Jackie his opportunity. And
that's a character, right?
Yeah, and it's a big deal. I completely agree. And the fact that you don't give a shit about baseball, I think gives it a lot more credence, because I think it was like my opinion even then that, oh, wow, this is like the final solid Harrison Ford performance. So,
I mean, I love the stuff he's been doing of late, like Shrinking, for instance, which is great. I haven't
seen that, yeah.
And be honest, did it get you a little bit excited for baseball?
No. No. It made me excited for Chadwick Boseman and no.
Wrong pod.
No. There it is.
So definitely worth checking out. I'll have to watch Marshall next, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. We covered that last week. I had no idea what it was until it popped in my brain. If you missed last week's show, check it out. We had a good time doing To Die For. Eric, you're on the board.
I did watch To Die For before I had to bow out.
What's the bottom line?
Yeah, I'm really glad I wasn't on that pod, because it would have been a very stressful show for me.
Pod terror?
It didn't hold up, man. I was fucking bored. I thought it was surface level. Media is bad. Trite. Trash. I was like, who cares? I was like, all right. I mean, I remember loving this movie, Michael, because I had first seen it like 5 years ago. But when I watched it, I was like, it was like surface level. Like, I wasn't feeling it at all. At all. I was creeped out by Gus Van Sant's weird camera shots of like a 20-year-old Joaquin Phoenix. I was like, what is this?
Classic 90s soundtrack, like heavy metal, and like gross people. Yeah,
I like that girl that played Lydia, but other than that, I was like, and Nicole Kidman was good. And like every single, like Margot Robbie, like just watched that before she filmed I, Tonya, and was like, okay, I'll just do that. It was like, so like that was a milestone performance. But like other than that, I was like, this isn't really saying much. It's very, very surfacey. But yeah, I mean, that was that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I made kind of the same point. No, it's okay. I mean, I made the same point.
The scene where she like the actual real scene that wasn't just like fucking like winking at me when Lydia comes to her door and Nicole Kidman's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, it felt so real and it was so emotional. I was like, oh man, I want more of this. And they're like, no, you're not getting any more of that. We're going to keep winking at the audience. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. Grey Gardens. You guys ever watch Grey Gardens, that documentary?
Never saw it.
Turn it on once and we're like, I'm good.
You got to see this. It's like, especially if you're like interested in like documentaries as like this would be like a perfect thing to put on like how can documentaries go wrong? While it's super entertaining, it's like the most exploitive documentary about people with mental illness you'll ever see in your entire life. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned from it. It's super entertaining, but it's like such a dangerous, precarious, irresponsible documentary that it has to be seen. Other than bunch of seasons of Hoarders on A&E, I hit play on The Flash, Mike.
Oh, you did.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah,
I got to back up here. You didn't appreciate the exploitive documentarian nature of Grey Gardens.
I did.
So you watched seasons.
I did.
Wait,
I did appreciate
You did
it,
appreciate it.
but I knew it was exploitive. And yes, I did watch seasons of a documentary film crew being in hoarders' homes, pointing the cameras at them while they shit in bags and threw them in their yard.
Cool.
But yeah, it was entertaining.
Sounds fun.
Emotionally cleansing for what I was going through at the time.
Okay.
The Flash, Mike. I don't know where to start here.
CGI?
Well, all three of us have seen it, so we can talk about it. If you don't want to hear about The Flash, I'm going to get a little detail here, so skip ahead now.
Yeah, it was
CGI faces?
fucking horrible. I was pissed.
Babies.
I
The
literally
babies?
threw something at the TV. They put a baby in the microwave in a PG-13 summer blockbuster and thought it was okay.
But the CGI was terrible. I don't even give a shit about the fact that he's trying to save the baby. Maybe a microwave's not an ideal choice, but it was awful CGI. It was horrendous on that
was like-
specific scene.
It was like watching Roger Rabbit. It's like watching a human interact with like these cartoons.
I have so many problems with this film. Michael
Michael
Keaton's
Keaton?
Batman Returns, only to die twice and have his entire journey be pointless. Like, he lost twice. His
Yeah.
world blown up.
Yeah.
It's
Supergirl,
fine.
pointless. Her world blew up. She failed.
Fine. Who
Stakes
cares?
are just erased
Stakes erased.
left and
Yep.
right.
Poor man's Justin Long, Ezra Miller, does not do it for me again as the Flash.
Oh,
Isn't Justin Long already like a poor man's, I don't know, Tobey Maguire?
I wasn't pissed. I was just like, it's over. I mean, it kind of sounded. I hate to say it, and I don't want to spur anything, but it felt like the death knell of the superhero genre for me, for sure.
Oh, really?
I guess I'll have to shut it down then. You have to
It
stop.
shut you down, Jan. It shut you down, Jan. I gotta say, man, seeing Keaton, I didn't get that excited about it at all for some reason. I know. Why is that?
At all. Because they did what they do every single fucking time. Let's bring him back. But we're going to write him as a old, jaded failure that has to get himself out of the fucking gutter only to die at the end. Like they do to every fucking goddamn legacy character they keep bringing back 30 years later.
I think also it just didn't feel like that Batman. It didn't feel like the Batman
he would
from
never do that.
I mean, it was the same house, it was the same car, it was the same actor, it's all this shit,
Yeah.
but it just did not. It felt like Michael Keaton playing Batman, but not that Batman.
Yeah, that's maybe what it is. Maybe that's exactly what it is. It just shows up and he's there and he's the old Batman, which I get that. That's a storyline in the Batman lexicon, but
Sure.
I just felt no emotions or excitement, and seeing him doing his old. I mean, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Why?
Seriously.
That's
Why would you
so
say that?
sad.
Jimmy Fallon skit, horse shit. Have him say
Yeah.
5 of his old lines again. It's like a Super Bowl commercial. Fucking stupid.
Jimmy Fallon horse. That's great. That's an excellent analogy. That's totally true. Yeah, I thought it was some people said it was like one of the most emotional comic book movies they'd ever seen, and I just didn't get that at all. I was not seeing that. It didn't even bother me that Ezra Miller is all fucked up in real life. Like, I honestly, like, I can keep that out of the movie and watch it for what it was. It just wasn't that. It was.
But like bearing in mind, I mean, like I could mostly keep it out, right? The fuck up that he's kind of become, but for it to be like, okay, we got this movie riding on this star who has had like a big breakdown in public and is just dragged through the mud and like all this stuff. Like, well, good thing he's playing 2 fucking versions of himself in this movie, so we get a double dose of this asshole. 3.
Oh, you're right. That's even
I can
worse.
get past it too. It's just why does everything have to be a fucking joke? Why is there so much bickering and so many quips? Why does everything have to be a fucking joke? These movies didn't used to be straight comedies.
It's why the Batman was so good in part.
Can't wait. March 2024, cameras are gonna roll. Cannot fucking wait.
It's fantastic. Can't wait.
I will say, it was limited, but I loved the Supergirl character in this movie. I mean, the movie sucked,
Pointless,
but
did nothing.
Blink
I
and you
loved
miss
her.
her.
Yeah, that's fair. But she got opportunities. She goes head to head against Zod. That was cool. And I loved her suit, and I just liked her. It was kind of like I liked the way they set up the suit and made her a bit androgynous, but like a badass with power, but wasn't. it was like a mix, and I appreciated that. I thought it was cool. I really want to give her credit for that. It's too bad she's in a shit movie. So
Yeah. All right.
Mike, what about you, man? I'm sorry to go on so long about The Flash.
well, society's got issues. We can't change that. But in
Society.
today's
Pissed.
I'm pissed.
Batman 89 is my all-time favorite movie. I've been waiting 32 years for this. And then we get old man fucking around with spaghetti. Then he dies and it's over.
Yeah, the multiverse is spaghetti. That's
Write
right.
that as a review for IMDb. That's a good one sentence review.
Boy, wait a minute. I guess there's a lot of stuff I can't talk about, so I'm gonna have to keep it sealed.
What? Secrecy
Yeah.
on Cinema 9?
Shit, I can't talk about any of these. Yeah,
They're all coming back.
I would like to. Yeah, I think I would. I really do. All of these films that I'm looking at that I've recently watched.
Okay.
I was trying to think if I forgot something last week because I felt like maybe I didn't mention something while me and Travis did the show, and I want to make sure I get it on the record. And nothing coming by, so we can just move on. That's fine, right?
Big Pharma doc on Netflix. You didn't see that shit?
I know, but they already did Dope Sick so well. It's like I'm down with like the continued absolute destruction and shitting on of the Sackler family for what they did, and it's great. I'm sure it's a good show. I guess I'm just not as motivated, even though I lost part of my own life to the opioid experience. I'm like, okay, Dope Sick was so stellar with Michael Keaton. Speaking of him, he was outstanding in that show, and it was so well done that it's like, can they top that?
Michael, I got to say, I did try Only Murders in the Building. I was like, all right, what's going on here? What's going on here? I watched an episode. Martin Short was fantastic, but only in like his dramatic moments. Like when they were all trying to be funny, everything fell flat. But like Martin Short has moments where he's like being dramatic. I'm like, this is fucking great. But all the jokes were falling flat. So I'm like, I'm out.
I sure enjoyed that first season, but it wears out its welcome pretty quick.
I agree. Concur. Here's the one other movie I forgot. We mentioned The Flash, which I did see. I think I actually paid for it too, by the way. So. Sad. I watched 80 for Brady. Have you guys seen this? Have you heard
I
about
have.
this?
What?
Yeah, I watched it.
Wait, what? You both watched 80 for Brady?
I watched 80 for Brady.
What?
Dude, it's got Sally Field in it. It's got Rita Moreno in it. It's got Jane Fonda in it, and it's got the great Lily Tomlin in it. I mean, why would I not watch this movie? How come you haven't watched this movie is a better question. How would I not watch this movie?
I think he's kind of right, Eric.
How have I not watched the 80-year-old women go to a football game movie? I'm not sure, Travis. I'm scratching my head on this one.
80, we're talking 4 classic actresses of their absolute highest order. So Academy Award winners, some of the best, the
Starring
funniest.
Tom Brady.
No, it's not.
Can't
Tom
believe I
Brady's
missed
like
out.
a side. Yeah,
he's in
he's
2
a side
scenes.
character. Yeah, it's like it call it 80 for Brady, but it's totally just about 4 old women.
It wasn't
on an
great.
adventure.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great. No, it wasn't great. No,
No,
you're right.
No, but I do feel justified in watching the film. I mean, it was entertaining. It was like a Sunday afternoon, walk out of the room, don't press pause kind of movie. It was fine.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
an
great
Eric term.
summation. Beautiful summation. 80 for Brady. If you're hungover and depressed on a Sunday, throw it on and you won't turn it off. That's
Yeah,
I
fine.
also have to say, I am kind of pissed filming this, recording this pod right now because upstairs, as I record this, my wife is watching Hard Lessons starring Denzel Washington. This is the George McKenna story, 1986 biography about the fucking guy who went to yet another preparatory high school in South LA to whip them into shape. I'll watch anytime there's a movie where the fucking high school is being overrun by delinquents and the guys got to get in there and get it together. I love them so much. I can't believe I'm missing out on Hard Lessons.
Too close to life. I avoid them.
I got a great trying to whip him into shape movie that I watched that I'm going to bring in. Yeah, I can't wait to do it.
Another one.
Yeah, another one.
That I didn't just mention?
The Substitute? We're going to do the Substitute?
No.
I know what it is.
that's not it.
Half
Substitute
Nelson, I almost
two?
did it. I almost did it myself.
Nah, Half Nelson's boring as hell. No, I didn't like that.
Half Nelson.
Well,
was
that was my
fucks.
original experience. Yeah, even though I love Fleck and Bowden. All right, anyways, let's get to it. It's time to focus in on the main movie that maybe only the 3 of us watched. I don't know if, The Good Girl. There's a lot of searches on YouTube for a lot more than some of the other movies we've done. So you never know. Maybe people will see that we're doing Search and Destroy, and that alone will get subs and the views on YouTube because they'll be like, "Oh, I'm trying to find this movie. Here it is." Nope, It's not the movie. It's just us.
Sorry.
Yeah,
David Sal finally makes a profit based on our show.
no, I don't think that's happening. But, Travis, I think it's fair to say maybe you kind of picked it on a whim. We were in a moment, and I like that. I think it's fun that you did that, and I'm glad you chose this movie. So tell us about the first time you saw Search and Destroy.
Eric just ran upstairs and watched Hard Lessons.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
He's like, fuck this. I'm not talking about this movie. This is one so it came out in 1995, and I saw the preview somewhere, Vidmark Entertainment or some shit.
Vidmark!
Because it was definitely direct to video, or at least, maybe a limited theatrical release or something. And at that age, easy sell, I mean, I knew who Griffin Dunn was because of, I want to say, was it Desperately Seeking Susan that he was in, or was it the other one?
I think he
Madonna?
was.
He was in one of those two Madonna movies. I think it was Desperately Seeking Susan, and I watched that one quite a bit, and he was in some other stuff. But the real obvious was Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper. I was like, oh, and John Turturro. I mean, I was already a big John Turturro at that age because Barton Fink and Miller's Crossing were both huge, and Dennis Hopper, no fucking brainer. And Christopher Walken. So you put those three guys in a movie, yeah, I'm gonna watch that shit. So I rented it, and it was one of those movies that never hear anyone else talk about, never heard anyone other than myself bring it up in conversation. It's just one of those ones. And so since you brought it up in conversation, I was like, well, fuck it. You haven't seen it. I don't know if Eric has. Let's do it.
By the way, it was Who's That Girl? So it was not Desperately Seeking.
It was the other
Susan.
one. Yeah.
It was the other one. Which has
that
a
was
4.8 rating on IMDb.
I actually watched that one quite a bit as a kid. Yeah. I wouldn't think it's good now, though.
I missed Who's That Girl. Definitely saw Desperately Seeking Susan many times, but not.
I saw that
Who's
one too, but I don't know.
And of course, Griffin Dunn was in After Hours. That's for fun. What about you, Eric? Did you ever see Search Destroy? No story, so we can move on.
I refer to this as the Travis Roy Let It Ride factor, where there's a movie that exists that I only know that it exists because Travis Roy has seen it a million times. Let It Ride is one of them with Dick Dreyfuss and Search and Destroy. The only thing I know about this movie is, Search and Destroy is one of my favorite movies, Travis Roy quote.
Prayer of the Roller Boys?
Yeah, Prayer of the Roller Boys. Other than that, had no clue what it was about. I am really sorry for not taking you up on this recommendation the multiple times you've requested me to watch it, Travis. But when I would look at the cover box, I just see like the boxes with like Christopher Walken, slick black hair. I'm like, another mid-90s like crime comedy. I can't. I'm not interested. I haven't heard anything. I can't do it.
Oh. All right, you did it. Yeah, you did it.
I did it via that MPV or where the fuck you sent last night.
My beautiful copy that I've had now for about 7 years. Yeah, I've had it for a long time. I did not see this movie. I never have any background on it, so I dove in and I watched it for the first time. IMDb rating on this one?
I'm gonna guess low.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think it has a lot of views, and I don't think that a lot of people that saw it liked it. I loved it. I'm putting that out. I mean, I already said that last episode. I love this movie. But I think that there's going to be a few people that love this movie, but I think the majority don't. So I'll say 5.9.
Eric?
When it's not available and there's no information about a possible Blu-ray release, you're in trouble. I'm going to say 6.2.
I thought it was like a 6.4, but no, it's 5.3. Yeah.
5.3.
This could be the lowest.
No, the Annihilators.
It's always the Annihilators.
And I'll tell you what.
The
Which
Annihilators wasn't
all
rated
five of
IMDb for
us.
the record. Remember that? Remember
okay.
Annihilators wasn't even rated IMDb. It only had a Rotten Tomatoes review.
Well, Blood Diner was lower than this, I think.
Well,
We all liked that too.
The Search and Destroy that is on Amazon, the action flick that looks really shitty, that's 3.8 or something. Yeah, that's like 3.5 or 3.8 or something. So it's better than that. It beat the other Search and Destroy.
and of course, I got to bring it up during the show. Metallica, Seek and Destroy,
Absolutely.
comes to my mind every time I hear that. So
Kill them all.
Kill 'Em All, classic, love it. 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not cool, man.
Not
wow,
great.
that's low. That's okay. 41% from the audience. Again, not a lot of excitement.
You owe the state of Florida $150,000.
$56.
Yeah, we got a classic Martin Scorsese acting, whether it's Quiz Show or this, where he shows up and he's just dead serious. He's never going to crack a joke on screen ever.
Close up on my hands.
So on the Rotten Tomatoes page, there's one guy who actually wrote something here. The rest are just splats, and it's Emmanuel Levy from Variety.
Okay.
Yeah. Artist David Sall makes a disappointing feature debut with a misconceived satire that poorly directed and is not much helped by a dream cast of eccentric indie actors.
It is a dream cast of eccentric indie actors.
By the way, Gary Wright, Dreamweaver, died this week. Yeah. All right, so long. Another celebrity death. Put it in the bucket. Okay, so that's it for reviews. Search and Destroy is a film that is about self-help. This is about Dennis Hopper is this guy, this doctor who might be a total scumbag. He might be actually clever. He might not be onto something, but all I know is that Griffin Dunn's character, Martin Markheim, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Martin Markheim.
Martin Markheim is very much a fan of this fucking... Yeah, that's right, of course. Of many different failed ventures. Yeah, you got Rosanna. Yeah, he's this guy who struggles. He's apparently like blows all of his ex-wife's brother's cash, or maybe she had a bunch of money from the brother that's wealthy. By the way, the brother was like a guy I've seen in 2 other movies. Alpha Dog was one that came to mind, and I couldn't think of any others. But yeah, it's about a guy who's like obsessed with self-help. That's how I saw this too.
Daniel Strong. That's what he's obsessed with.
Yeah, you got these cutaways to Daniel Strong's trials. There's like set up like it's fucking Moonlight, like 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But it's not Moonlight, that's for sure.
Or is it?
Oh.
So yeah, it definitely follows like the Daniel Strong adventure. It's kind of an adventure story. The critics hated it. They wanted me to join their little club, the intellectuals. But
that was a funny line. I like that one.
But so he's obsessed with that. But he's also just like, yeah, Dr. Waxman is a quack, right? I mean, at one point he says like kick the homeless, and he's like make no apologies for anything whatsoever. Like he's a fucking quack, but he sounds inspirational enough. People are plants. I don't know what this means, but he sounds inspirational enough. And it sounds like when he was much younger, Daniel Strong came out like at one point, Kim says the best book when you're 19. So presumably he read it when he was pretty young. So, so it was like the first thing to put Waxman on the stage. And so so now he's like at the end of his career, he's like a 3 a.m. fucking public TV guy. And he's at the tail end of things. He's like clamoring. This is a movie about legacy, I think, in a lot of ways too. And he's clamoring for like some sort of reason to be important. And then this guy shows up, is gonna make his movie, but first he has to make a horror movie. It's convoluted.
And I love how finally someone comes along that understands me. But I'm not doing it unless you can option it for like $100,000.
He wants $500,000 and he takes $100,000 at the end.
It's a little steep. Yeah. Well, what's a reasonable number? Yeah. He's not sure.
I did really like those scenes, like this. He's like this philosophical evangelist that just kind of pops up and people watch.
Yeah.
What about the intro to this movie? It's weird. He's like talking and they give you no context. You're like, okay, what's going on? It's really a strange, bizarre opening. Forget like the whole just whatever it is, a pool with a life raft there. Forget that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like after that.
You get Daniel Strong for half a second. Yeah, but the Waxman monologue there, which I still apparently have like memorized almost completely. I was able to. I didn't really even know that I knew it. It's been a while since I watched it.
I'm surprised you haven't plugged that into like a Johnny Hero song or something.
Strike these no excuse, huh? Strike these no excuse.
So, by the way, Kim is Christopher Walken's character, who just shows up at a party and gives the Roseanne Arquette's brother's business partner cocaine.
You spread a lovely buffet.
That is the one thing I was saving that for the end. God damn it! I've got it in front of me.
Sorry, I not in your home. I don't know what you're.
There's a lot of lines of this movie. It's pretty quotable. I got to say that I wrote down a lot. I wrote why do you lie so much? Like, she's just like, why do you lie so much? She doesn't even like broach calling him out. She just goes right into that.
And he asks, like, does that bother you?
Yeah. You never stop talking. Be quiet. Like, he really, and it dawned upon me when she says that, Ileana Douglas says that to Griffin Dunn. Like, yeah, oh my God, this guy, he can't sit in silence because he's just talking through like the whole first half hour of the film nonstop.
Always selling something. And that same scene has one of my favorite lines, I think maybe in film, honestly. Believing in things is embarrassing. Everybody sees that you're different. It's great. It's a great line.
Okay. Wow, in film. Yeah, Eric stunned. Also, I said buffet. We covered that one.
We'll spread a lovely buffet.
Let's talk business. Can we talk business? He's all handcuffed there.
Fucking Pavlov!
Yeah. Wait, Griffin Dunn loses it a couple times in this movie, several times in this film. And the first time is early on in the bedroom after they come out of the Martin Scorsese tax nightmare interview. And he gets so pissed off because Rosanna Arquette's about things and he's talking about his deeds.
I'm talking about deeds. He's so intense. He's so impassioned, but he's such a fucking idiot. Like, he's sitting there talking to this tax assessor and he's like, I don't have time for these little things. I'm like paying taxes. I don't have time for this. Like, I am an artist. I am like a motivator. Like, it's just like, no, dude, you're not above everything because of your fucking ego. But he's so self-assured that he will just bulldoze himself into the reality that he wants for himself, which is something.
By the way, prime Rosanna Arquette. God, she was gorgeous. I'm just saying.
What else can you say?
Well, I thought she was going to be in more of the movie, and she wasn't.
Yeah. Her with a couple of other people and plot points, just they're introduced and then they're gone, which works in a play. I mean, like, there's always that thing where a stage play will do things, and it's just character development that a movie will usually resolve, but a play doesn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning that this is based on a play, and this first-time director, I think only-time director, is a painter. Like, he's a painter, and it kind of comes across. You have like the painting cousin. You have these beautiful color palettes throughout the film.
The geisha scene.
Yes, the kabuki theater scene when you get like the backlit green and red and blue of each character. I love that moment. I've always loved that moment.
Shoeshine boy.
Never go to school.
Such a fucking stupid
dude
song.
Just driving down the freeway, I'll just do that my whole life.
And like Julian Schnabel, also like a painter filmmaker, like, you get to have these dream casts when your movie like is kind of like a, in my opinion, like a nothing movie that like says nothing. I don't know, man. Like, for me, a lot of these like scenes, these characters and stuff, it just kind of seems like this brilliant artist calling in favors.
What kind of
Scorsese is the power behind this, right?
Oh,
I mean, he made a lot of this happen and getting the people to come around it because they heard his name, even if he's just the producer, right?
He probably liked the play and was able to, I mean, like, obviously had a relationship with people like Griffin Dunn, and and probably willed it into existence, just like Martin Wertheim is doing with what he's doing. But it's very much, it feels like a bit of a Hollywood jerk off, which is one of the things I've always liked about it. It's not trying to be, this is an Oscar bait. This isn't trying to make money. This is solely just like, hey, let's get together and make some art. And that to me is fun.
You know, it's not fun. So Scorsese, I don't even care about that. But it's got, I mean, we're talking Ethan Hawke's in there as Roger, the assistant. Ileana Douglas, back-to-back weeks of Ileana Douglas. Fun.
In 1995, no less.
Same year, yes. That's fantastic. That's kind of how this movie ended up being picked. Yeah, that's how we got here. But I really think that this movie, even if you think it's all over the place, it's got a lot of great dialogue. I love the dialogue in this movie. I have to say, I found it to be very entertaining and engaging. And even if some of these people are morons, I like watching people who don't have it figured out, because that's what life is. None of us have it figured out, and we're trying to figure it out. Even if Kim, Christopher Walken's character, who's presented as this, very chill Walken to start, of course, like he's just there in his suit being chill, and he gets more maniacal as the movie wears on. And maybe some people might think like how it ends with him is just totally off the wall, but I don't think that's the case.
No,
it builds up to it.
The reason it isn't the case is because Kim has read and has, in his heart, tried to understand Daniel Strong.
Yes.
If he didn't know anything about that book, it would just be like hitman comes in, shoots people, mid-90s crime thriller.
Yep.
But what the movie does that's interesting to me, maybe one of the only things, is talk about how somebody can read one book, the same book, and have a completely different interpretation of it. Griffin Dunn takes on ambition, success, and legacy. And Christopher Walken's character, Kim, says, well, my life is meaningless. Why not have complete ambiguity in your life and your
apologize
morality?
for nothing, right? Yeah. No, very good. And I agree. I think that's a huge thing that kind of dodged me in previous viewings, but I did pick up on this time. He says at one point that he was afraid to be tested, right? And you can't have an adventure without a gun. Like and like he says, like, hey, I reread Daniel Strong. It really holds up. And Griffin Dunn says, thank you. Like he fucking wrote it. But as soon as he's already kind of like this mercurial character, but then once he rereads the book, he slips off the edge.
And there's this relationship between Kim and Turturro's character, which is like they've known each other.
Ron?
I mean, yeah when Ron shows up in this movie, Griffin Dunn's Martin's
I
character
win. I get all the marbles. That is why I love New York. With Dan Hedaya, no less. Just running around.
Doesn't say a word. Dan Hedaya is a tailor who says,
Please.
I'm serious.
He says,
Did he say please? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
please.
it. Okay. There was one
Holds up a
single
tape
word.
measure. Celebrated
Again,
character holds up the
another
tape measure.
To Die For, Dan Hedaya, Ileana Douglas, this movie. I don't know
Yeah.
what the connection was. Clearly there was one. Hey, I'm doing this stupid movie over here that Martin Scorsese producing. You want to jump in? Yeah, I got 20 minutes. Yeah,
I
come
would
on.
bet
Be the
that
tailor.
was it. I would bet
Well,
that was
Marty
literally
Scorsese,
it.
probably. All right, I'm in.
But
I mean, you can't make an indie film in the 1990s without either Stanley Tucci, John Turturro, or Dan Hedaya, and you got 2 out of 3 there, so that's pretty good.
That is a really good point. I can't argue that. But when Ron comes into the scene, and there's this relationship between him and Kim. Kim introduces Martin to Ron to try to get this drug deal, which goes south with this random drug dealer who
His little
gets very
scale. That's what they do
Yeah.
on TV.
That's what they do on TV. And Martin is becoming more annoyed as this segment of the film gets more ridiculous and uncertain because even though he's a total dipshit, he sees himself as like maybe even classy, actually. Like as like this organized, classy businessman, and this is out of control now. Things have gone too haywire here, and I want to try to rein it in. Kim, can we rein it in here? Kim, can we calm down?
Yeah, he's trying to put things into some semblance of order. They're all running around in Armani suits, though, so that definitely ups the class factor. As does
That's
the
fair.
Elmer Bernstein score, which is very memorable for me.
Oh, shit. Here we go. I was convinced that someone was like, where's the score? We accidentally deleted it. All right, load up the Ghostbuster score right now. We need at least something in there.
Well, if it's
Same
Elmer
score.
Bernstein, I don't think it's the same score. It's similar the way that John Williams stuff is similar or Danny Elfman's stuff is similar. I'll give
The
you
score
that.
was fucking fantastic. Was
I didn't catch it.
Was
I
the
didn't
movie
catch it.
deserve it of it? I don't know.
I didn't catch it. It doesn't even ring a bell to me at all.
Oh, really?
I'm serious. No, I did not. I did not catch that fucking thing
so
whatsoever.
good.
It's so good. The recurring sting in particular is like the motif. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it because I just
Yeah,
completely
that's
missed
so
it.
good.
So,
It's a great
I-
score.
I heard Kim and Ron argue about 15 fucking years in on this guy. I don't even know if he's ever been laid. It's like,
butter wouldn't melt. I make everyone sound like Al Pacino. God damn it.
yeah, right. You been laid? What's it like? Tell me. Yeah.
Look what I done, or look what I did, or look what I've done. He says after he kills him. And as soon as Dunn or Martin hears the shot, like there's this weird disconnect that takes place because like he clearly hears the shot, and he knows that Kim has shot Ron, and he immediately goes to him and is like, "Hey, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Like
Hey,
you
can I get
gotta
a
take us
ride?"
up." And it's like this instant break in reality, and like this, he's just like dissociating like instantly, and he pretty much is for almost the rest of the movie until Marie saves him by clocking Kim over the back of the head, and then Kim is in such a fucking state that he doesn't even try, and then he gets beaten to death.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
think that kind of harpoons a really good point about selfishness or selflessness in the film. Because throughout the entire film, Martin is just this selfish little shrew that I wanted to just like either shove or straight out punch in the face. But we get these moments that kind of scaffold on each other about friendship and partnership that kind of slowly build him into an interesting character. I wish he was interesting to begin with. He's not for me. He's just a little prick dipshit. But
Yes.
by the end, I'm like, I don't know if I like him, but I understand him. And when he gives Ileana that hug, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of hit me in the feels.
Or by the very end, when he's like clearly like a fully realized, developed character, as Marie would say, where he's got the full goatee now, he's got the cashmere sweater, he's got the classy cane because he's made lemonade out of his lemons.
Yeah.
Like you really watch this guy go from like a fucking con man, a jabbering con man, to becoming who he wants to be, and it really is because of Waxling's teachings, despite Waxling, who is a shitbag.
Yeah.
Shoeshine boy, never go to school.
Forget the golden rule.
I actually think, by the way, that Heath Ledger was a huge fan of this movie.
Why?
I swear. Because when Griffin Dunn kills Kim and he goes, "Look at me," I immediately thought of Heath Ledger in that. It was like almost verbatim in the cadence too. I can never prove this. I don't know if he's ever been on the record talking about it, but I immediately thought the Joker character's scene from Dark Knight.
And while we're in that moment, I do love, here's what I know. I'm stronger than you. And it's like, no, you're not, because he just shot you and he could have killed you anyways. You know, like it could have easily gone either way. You're not stronger than him. But like, again,
discovery doesn't have to be true. You know
right.
What I mean?
He's building his own mythos throughout the entire film.
Well, whatever. I wouldn't take my kid to it.
Is Griffin Dunn bagging groceries these days?
He's old,
got more.
man.
He got more into producing and that kind of stuff and directing as he got older.
Oh, wait, look at this. Update on IMDb. He's number 406 on IMDb Pro's star meter of the top 5,000 actors. He's number 406.
What's
pretty
he,
good.
What's he doing right now? Is he doing anything right now? I feel, or the last thing he's been done?
He was on This Is Us. He was on that show. Wow, I didn't know that.
Okay, well, I tuned out a long time ago.
Me too, yeah.
Can only like cry for so many episodes in a row. I'm like,
And
this
he was
is
in The French
manipulative.
Dispatch. He was in that as legal advisor. How about
Yes,
that?
he was. Yes, he was.
As legal advisor. Can you give him a
He's
name?
around. He's hanging.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit
Starstone.
about this playwright, this guy David Sal. Okay, it's his only film. Okay, you do what you can.
Was it his play? I thought he was doing someone else's play. He wrote the play too?
Thought he did. Let me effort that.
Okay, no, I mean, I thought he was a painter and doing someone else's play.
Oh.
That's interesting.
I thought it was his play. I looked that up. I'm double checking that now. Keep talking, though.
It is not him. It's Howard Corder wrote the play, and then Michael Almereyda wrote the screenplay.
Yep. You're right.
That's fucking interesting.
Yeah,
That's fucking interesting, man.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, for many reasons, because like usually I can forgive a playwright for delivering an incredible screenplay, and if he wants to have a shot at directing, okay, cool. What happens, happens. But if you're coming out as an artist and a director, and you're doing things like this interesting montage where the train floats by and it's like superimposed, oh, cool. You're only going to do that once, and you're doing this one thing where there's colors behind the screen, and like you're getting some like an emotional color palette, but you only do it once. There's not enough there for me.
I mean, but there's so much more than like the average film, and I feel like, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but for me, like, there's more there than the average film, and I feel like if they did that too much, it's only an hour and a half movie. If they did that too much, it would start to get like, okay, I get it. This is colorful. This is like, I love when fucking Christopher Walken is singing and tap dancing on that stage. It's in like after that whole color palette moment with the Kabuki theater, it's so bizarre. But if the whole movie was that, then you got Arizona Dream, and you know what? We don't need another Arizona Dream.
Or you
have you seen Arizona Dream? It's like, it's just people. It's just like chaos art and just like, what's going on? Isn't this a weird scene? Isn't this a weird scene? But look how pretty it looks. You know, it's like you lose the thread, I guess. Is what
You could have something like Jonathan Parker's Bartleby, which is like so like sedimented in like art and like I don't know. He does something, but it's just too little, because like he does his own thing, and yet he's borrowing from like 8 heads in a duffel bag for like the other 60%. It's just not enough for me from this guy. He's supposed to be like this huge artist.
I believe that was
And
96.
Even that scene, like I'm watching that scene with Christopher Walken, I'm like, oh man, good old Chris. He's doing his thing. He's tap dancing. He's singing. Yeah, I don't. What are the motivations behind what Kim's doing? What are the motivations between from what
fun.
Ron's doing? The characters,
Ron's on
they're
coke.
fun. They're lively. The performances are good, but do I really care about these fucking people?
You're such a fucking tourist, man. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you only they're like pretty secondary characters when you get down to it, especially Ron. The main character is Martin Merkine. It's an hour and a half movie. The first act, the first 30 minutes, you do not get hardly. You get a little bit of Kim, and you start to get some Marie, but he's like bouncing around with a bunch of different people throughout much of the film. He's like, it's Martin's movie.
And yet his wife doesn't come back that he has to deal with. All these obstacles they set up, they don't return. The tax lien doesn't come back to haunt him. His wife doesn't come back to haunt him.
He gets his credit card canceled.
The next step, and it's like, all right, whatever, Martin.
He gets his credit card canceled, and he can't fly home, and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, that's because of the tax stuff.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, if you try to transition from Florida to Dallas, you just put up a shot of a windsock, and then you're in Dallas. So I like that too.
I love the blue wall, though. The running.
I do love the blue wall. I hate to cut this short,
Dallas.
but
what is that? Like, who cares? You're gonna brush off Dallas that easily?
Yeah. You could. But if you guys want to keep talking, you can. But I got to go soon. I hate it.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I've already gone over because, yeah, well, I wanted to get our show in when you said you could do it. So I bumped Is It Safe? I made you guys a priority. But if you guys want to keep talking, you can. I can go. It's up to you.
No, I think we could wrap up. Can you give us like 3 or 4 minutes to just go through our normal thing and wrap it up proper?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So I will make my points here. Obviously, part of Kim's adventure involves getting caught, right? Like he's driving 76 in a 55. He is completely all kinds with a corpse in the trunk. You know, he's like all kinds of completely reckless. He would have almost certainly killed Marie and Martin. He is like, what is his motivation? He is someone who is just like some businessman who's like lived an empty life and has just gone off the rails. I mean, like this is before people used to pick up, before people would pick up AK-47s and go to the Walmart or whatever. He's essentially just like on this psychological break. So, and then you have all these weird people converging, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't need to hem and haw about it too much. I've already made my point that I love the film. I totally get anyone not loving it. I've always understood anyone not loving it, but I just wanted people to fucking see it before they made up their minds about it. Because I do think that it's, and maybe I'm a little tainted on it because I saw it when I was fucking 15 years old. I had not seen a lot of films that I appreciated as art for art's sake, so it always like had a special place in its heart for me. And yeah, I agree, like so quotable. There's so many fucking lines in this movie. It's so funny to me, and it honestly gets a little funnier every time I watch it. I catch things that I did not catch before that make me laugh. So yeah, holds up, love it.
Eric,
me, not you.
Yeah, you, buddy. Let's see what you say.
Being an awful mom in this episode, Michael.
I don't think
I feel
so.
like I've talked too much.
No, take it away. Shoe shine boy.
I gave it a shot, and I apologize for turning you down over and over and over again on this recommendation.
Not the first time you've done it.
But I watched it, and I think the problem for me was from the get-go, I didn't really like Martin. I didn't really care about him. So, like, everything he was going through, I was like, you're kind of, like, amusing, but, like, you're a little dipshit pipsqueak, so I can't get on board this journey. And all the characters came in with these weird, unknown, foggy motivations, whereas I felt like I was looking at like a painter that wanted to make a film, and since like all these famous people were like a fan of his, they were like, here's all the money, we'll be in it, regardless of what the product was. So I have to agree with some of these scores we're seeing online with, this is just kind of like a scattershot, turgid kind of mire. I wasn't feeling it, man. There's some moments here and there, but I wasn't really, I wasn't feeling it this time, Mike. What do you think, dude? It didn't hold up for me.
Didn't hold up. All right. Well, there are a lot of quotable lines in this movie, and like I said, I really enjoyed the dialogue. I like the story. It doesn't have to make sense as long as it's entertaining and interesting. And even if Martin is a total scumbag of the highest order, I found myself wanting to follow him as he tries to make things happen. And that's really all you can ask for, I suppose. Like, I'm interested enough to see what Martin will do next because he's so up his own ass in his own head with his own ideas and his philosophies. Really, they're not his ideas at all. They're all Dr. Wexler's. Dennis Hopper, by the way, who I'm not a big fan of Dennis Hopper, by the way. We haven't really talked about that. Oh yeah, there's a face being made here by Eric, but I don't hate him or anything. I don't think he's as legendary as maybe some would think, but he's really good in this film. He's rock solid. He plays this character exactly the way it should be, and he doesn't make it too...
money, man.
Yes, you are nothing. Yes, you're nothing here. He doesn't over Hopper this one. It seems like he was like sober for this one or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyways, in the end, watching this film, watching the characters, excellent actors. I mean, the whole cast is loaded with really good actors that I have enjoyed throughout my film watching history. So I love this movie. I really did. I love this movie a lot, and it absolutely, to me, holds up, even if it makes no sense half the time or you're trying to like piece together the plot. I just had a ball with it, man. There's like there's so many lines that I enjoyed. Excellent script, at least dialogue wise. Maybe not cohesion, but that's okay. So
all right,
it's okay.
I think that's well put.
Travis is happy.
I'm happy.
I'm glad we did the movie too. That's why I wanted to do it, because I thought it was worth talking about. That's why I wanted to. I'd be
remiss if I didn't mention that the tagline of the film was a screwball tragedy.
Yes,
and that makes so much sense.
It does,
because it is like it's fucking dramatic, and yet it's like ridiculous and it's farcical. I mean, I don't know if I went in on the wrong moment, but you know how fucked up my life is right now. But I don't know, man.
Well, maybe someday revisit.
I'll be thinking about it.
If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. That's fine. We're not all supposed to agree here. That's the point.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. And you've finally seen it, at least. So
yeah. So, we can move on from that. Yeah, that hanging nightmare that has just cursed Eric's life for decades. Eric, are you up next week? Is that correct?
Nights.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been mulling this over. I've had so many sleepless nights where I wake up in a cold sweat. What do I do next week? What do I do? What's the right thing to do? And I think based on some of our conversations via text that I have to inject a wild card into the mix. Because if I don't, I don't know. I'm worried. And it could be I don't know, detrimental to the podcast, but we'll see what happens. Because we're going back, man. We haven't gone back in a while. I don't know how often we've dipped into the 70s, but we're going back into the 70s, man. Wow. I remember Soylent Green, but that was a long time ago. And there's a film that a really good friend of mine, Kevin, showed to me that once I saw it, and I never heard of it, I could never shake it loose. I just could never shake it loose. And I haven't seen it since. And I want you guys to see it. And I'm interested in these opinions on it, man. Especially if you're a fan or even know the filmmaker Brian De Palma. Because nobody fucking talks about this movie at all. And it is a fucking game changer. From 1974, the film is called Phantom of the Paradise. It's available. And it's got a huge cult following. And I'm interested to see what happens next week.
Yeah, always wanted to see it.
Yeah, there's a couple De Palma movies from his earlier career I wanted to see, and this is one of them. So, all right, cool. Good call. I truly do believe this is our second 70s film.
I think so.
It's bonkers.
I couldn't think of anything else besides Soylent Green, yeah. I thought you were going to say Star Wars for a minute, so I'm glad you didn't say that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I know. It's a bad joke. All right, well, that's what we're going to do then next week. Phantom of the Paradise. Brian De Palma. Eric's Choice. Travis Roy, Michael Govier, Eric Branch from cinema9pod@gmail.com. Thanks for Joe. Thanks for emailing the show, by the way.
Thanks, Joe.
Glad you're aboard. We always like to have new people checking out the show. We'll catch you guys next time.
You read that? My Little Offering? It's basically an adventure story. They trashed it, of course.